accelerating digital transformation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Luba, and thanks, Bax, and welcome everybody. So I'm Nathan Ott. I'm the Chief Polisher and co-founder of the GC Index. As you'll see from the numbers behind me, that indicates that, and they'll become more apparent as we go through this. I'm going to take you through the GC Index, through some slides, and try and bring it to real life as well, because people often ask us, what's this all about? Why is it so impactful? Why have businesses taken the GC Index so readily when there's lots of other tools and such like out there? So I'm going to start right at the highest level, and this links into what Bax is saying, because when we look at a business, any business, they'll often really compartmentalize it into three areas: people, process, and technology. And if you Google people, process, and technology, you'll get thousands of these diagrams. So here's just an example of a number of those diagrams. And management consultancies will approach businesses with this notion of people, process, and technology. The GC Index is all about making business decisions, and what to get a transformation right, to make a business tick, whatever it may be, we need to make sound business decisions, okay? And if we look at, say, technology, when we're making business decisions, we want data. We want good data to help us make these business decisions. So we look at technology. It's quite easy to make some business decisions about technology. We around the data we get from technology. You could argue technology is data. Bax has sort of mentioned, we seem to be able to move very quickly with technology decisions. Processes, we get data about processes, we can write them down, we understand them, they're more tangible. We get good business data from processes we can make decisions about. Now, when it comes to people, however, the data that we get on our people to make business decisions is a bit more difficult. I think this is one of the reasons why we've always struggled with this notion of culture and people decisions, because historically, the only data we've had on business decisions has really been skills and experience. And then outside of that, the only data we've really had is personality data. There are thousands of great personality tools out there. You might be using things like MBTI, DISC, StrengthsFinder, etc. But they're great tools. But if you're going to ask a business leader, how many business decisions did you make using a personality data or personality tool, they'll look at you like you're mad. And they're probably quite right to. Because when we're making sound business decisions, whether that's in a transformation or whatever, we want to remove almost personality away from it. And that's the gap that the GC Index fills. It's business impact data. That's what it is at its highest level, to help us make better people decisions. So to plug that gap that Bax was talking about. Now, this is a really important slide for the GC Index, because these are 20 areas where the GC Index data is used to make business decisions about people. It's the same data. Now, we're talking about business transformation, the digital transformation today, but equally, when you're looking at a digital really organizational transformation, we know there's a number of things we need to be looking at from our people. How do we recruit them? How do we develop our leaders? How do we build our teams? How do we drive a better culture? How are we going to change? How are we going to look at the operating model? How are we going to look at the organizational model? And fundamentally, how are we going to align all of our people to these different business processes, to make the maximum impact? So that's what the GC Index is at a high level. It's data about people that we can align to business processes. And again, that's the gap that we're thinking. You'll have lots of data. You'll have, and I've seen questions about skills. You'll have skills and expertise data. You can get repositories, you'll build your own. You'll have experience data. Have they done this before? Can they do this again? We'll base decisions on that. And we'll base decisions on personality. Could be gut feel, do they fit in? Or we might have other personality tools data. The GC Index isn't looking at these bits, okay? What the GC Index is doing is looking at what's the impact this individual is going to make to a role, to a team, to an organization, to a transformation process, etc. So that's what the GC Index does, is plug in that gap, give you an extra piece of data to make sound business decisions about people. People like get credibility that it's used. We started the research in 2013. We launched in 2017. We now have over 2,000 plus clients, big, small, all sectors, and 50 plus countries and growing. fundamentally, it's any business process, fundamentally. And we're talking about digital transformation today, but it extends much broader than that. In terms of industry credibility, you mentioned Gartner in your presentation, Bex. There's a report about the GC Index, how it accelerates organizational transformation. We didn't pay for this. They saw what we were doing and wanted to write the report on that. So you can get that report from Gartner if it's interesting. But again, it's about how do individuals make the biggest impact in their role and make sure they're happy as well, which is really important. Yeah, we want our people to be making an impact and be happy. There's a big thing about resilience and well-being, particularly in these times. The GC Index feeds into that. So what is it? So fundamentally, the GC Index, you've taken it, a number of you answered 59 questions. It takes about 10 minutes or so. And what we're doing is we're mapping how people best want to impact a role, team, or organization against these 5 proclivities. So we call them proclivities. A proclivity is an energy, an inclination of how someone wants to impact a role, team, or organization. I'm quickly going to unpick them. Okay, so above the line at the top, we've got 2 proclivities, game changer and strategist. These are ideas focused. Okay, game changers, however, want to impact a team through possibilities. They don't value arbitrary roles. They don't value the tried and tested. They're always looking at new ways of doing things. That's what's really getting them going. Okay, that's where they want to impact a team. Strategists, however, are ideas focused, but in a much more linear way. They like to see patterns. They like to see trends. They like to see models that will work for them. They make predictions based on data. It doesn't have to be hard data. It could be, I mean, take it out of a technology context. It could be a doctor looking for patterns of symptoms so they feel comfortable making a diagnosis. It could be a receptionist looking at how the role fits in, how his or her role fits in. So they're getting data. That's what strategists do. And if you're already ahead of me, you're already seeing the complementary relationship between a strategist and a game changer. Weird, crazy, new ideas we've never done before, possibilities. How does this make sense? How does this fit in? Yeah, how does this fit into what we're trying to achieve? So that's game changer and strategist. Below the line, we have task-focused people, implementers, yeah, and polishers. Implementers just want to get things done. If you're an implementer on this call right now, you're probably saying, Nathan, get on with it. Yeah, stop thinking, stop talking, just get on with it, do it. Implementers value the tried and tested. Okay, so if it's not broke, don't fix it. And you're going to come up against a lot of that through any transformation. This works. Why should we change? Implementers are a lot like that, okay, because they just want to get results. Polishers, on the other hand, which of course I'm going to say are the best, but there's no right or wrong, or there's no best ones, of course. But the polishers are about action, but in a much more obsessive way. Okay, they will say things like, if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing properly. It can be super critical, but can be in the sense that everything is rubbish. They can be super positive, that anything is possible. Okay, all of these different proclivities have a plus and a minus, and they will all accelerate change. They will stop change. What's really important to notice as well, and I think you mentioned this, Bax, it's when it comes to transformation, some things we've just got to incrementally increase and change. Yeah, some things we have to radically change. Okay, so polishers are much more innovative. So innovation, incremental improvements. Game changers, yeah, inventive. Now that's different, okay? There is a difference between innovation and invention. You can see this through the model, and that might be an interesting concept for some of your transformations. In the middle, we have playmakers. Now, playmakers don't dominate through ideas or through tasks, okay? But that's through people, and not in a way that we've historically known that I'm nice or socially skilled or I'm politically correct or emotionally intelligent. No, that's personality, nothing to do with that. Playmakers have a fundamental belief system. If we get the relationships right, everything else will follow. So they genuinely are that genuine collaboration, and we can measure that and we can see that, okay? Right, so now we're all bits of these. We're not one or the other. There are 100,000 different permutations of the GC Index. But just to finish, and we'll tuck into it, the GC Index is the only people tool that is built on a high-level business model, a high-level business cycle, okay? And all we're doing is mapping our individuals, our teams, our organization against this business cycle. So yes, we might have these new, wonderful, crazy new ideas, But if they don't make any sense, they don't fit into our plan or our structure, they're just pointless. Yeah, they won't get off the ground. It's all very well having a wonderful plan, a wonderful strategy. If you don't get on and do something with it and make it happen, it just becomes a nice idea. And then, of course, we've got to make it better. We've got to improve upon it. We've got to continuously improve it. And then we've all got to make sure we're getting the best out of each other. So that's what the GC index is, simplistic terms. How we're aligning everybody to the needs, the demands of the project, of the transformation. So what does it look like then? So a lot of you have taken the GC index, you'll get an individual report. Bax has already mentioned, if you've taken the GC index, get in touch. He will sit down and explain what your impact is. You get a 27-page report, as you will see. Okay, you're not one or the other. We've got like a map of energy. So this individual just so happens to be a strategist implementer. They're going to want to impact the transformation in a certain way. Now, that's really nice individually. But what starts getting really interesting is when we start looking at teams. We start aggregating that data in teams. And I'm not sure, you guys have only literally heard me talking about the GC index for 5 minutes. You're probably already making an assumption about what this team may be good or may not be good at. So this team is a big game changer implementer team. They want to look at creative opportunities, new ideas, and they want to pragmatically get them done to an MVP one, get it out. Now, if this was my innovation team, or this is a team I'm set off to go and look at new creative ways to get me to a proof point of what can be done, I'll be quite happy with that. I think, yeah, this is, we can steer them in the right direction. If this was my strategy team, yeah, I'd be a little bit worried. If this is the team that has to align our processes or gain senior stakeholder management buy-in to why we're doing this and how we're doing this and how it fits in with the strategy, I'll be a little bit worried. Yeah, and I'm looking at that lower 10% in strategist. Again, with Playmaker, if we want this team to go out and be collaborative, run stakeholder management throughout the business, get people on board, win hearts and minds, I'd be a little bit worried as well. Yeah, so we look at every team profile. We look at what could they be good at, what are we necessarily going to worry about. We then roll it up into whole organizations. So we take any business division, any program, whole companies. Okay, so this just happens to be 1,800, a representation of 1,800 people in a telco going through a digital transformation. Okay, so it's any business decision. Now, when we take it up another level, is any business process. Okay, so what we do is we start aligning your program, your projects, your methodology, your project chart, whatever it might be you need to do, your roadmap, and we start having conversations with the teams about what do we need here? What do we need to make sure, what energy, what proclivity we need within this team, within this group to make this business objective a success? So this is just an example from an organization. It's a bank, it just happens it's a big European bank. They had 3 core business objectives as part of their transformation. One of them was a cost reduction program. So they sit down and they go, look, COVID has hit. We know we need to cut costs. Okay, but there's some things we're just going to cut costs on. That's business as usual, as Bax said. Yeah, so that's implemented, that's polishing. Okay, that's fine. However, can we use this as an opportunity, yeah, to look at new and creative ways of cutting costs? Yeah, can we look at new opportunities? Yeah, rather than just slashing costs because. And that's a very much more game changer strategist mode. So we're building teams with a higher game changer strategist mode to go out and look at those ways of cutting costs. And this is doing 2 things. One, it's what do we need to make sure we're successful? Yeah, the energy. Secondly, everyone knows where they are. Yeah, so if you've got in Q1 a bunch of implementer polishers going, oh, just cut costs, you can say, look, no, we're in a game changer strategist mode at the moment. Yeah, how can you help us look at new opportunities rather than just cutting costs, for example? When you start moving to Q2, we've done our, and it could be month 1, it could be day 1, it could be Q1. It doesn't matter. It happens to be quarters. Now we're in a strategist playmaker mode. How do we align this? We've got our new ideas. How do they fit into our strategy? And how do we communicate that across the business? How do we get buy-in from stakeholders? Very big strategist playmaker focus. And then we're into execution. We've got to make sure we execute and everyone knows that we're doing it well. So again, it's implementer and playmaker lines there and so on. I'm not going to go through it, but you start to see how it maps onto all of your processes. Everyone knows what the impact they can make, and you can see where there might be a bit of a disconnect in your teams. At the highest level, you'll have a company statement. Why are we doing this transformation? This is Nike, just so happens. They had a maxim. It's in our nature to innovate. Now, they're trying to build an innovation culture. This is 15 years old, this statement. Now, historically, they've been running around telling everyone, you have to go and be innovative. Go and be innovative on a Tuesday afternoon. Now, that might work for some people, like game changers. For others, it's like, what? I don't want to be innovative. I don't know. But with this language, you'll be able to show how people contribute to the process of innovation. So I know we had a little question about leadership there. That's the shift. You're not telling everyone they've got to go and be digital and transform. You're telling everyone, how do you best contribute to the process of digital transformation? Because there are some things that's got to get done. Some things you've got to do well. Yeah, some things have got to be radically different. Some things have got to fit in on a line, and we need people that are going to get everyone together. So how are you going to contribute to the process of digital transformation? So that's the shift. So what we've got here then are two different transformation teams, and we're going to run a poll, but let me just talk about this. These are two transformation teams. So transformation team A, as you will see, big game changer, polisher, playmaker. Yeah, okay. So this is a transformation team leading a transformation. Both are within a telco environment. Okay. And you've got transformation team B as well. Now, transformation team is very different. Okay. So as you see, it's a strategist, it's a very implementer, polisher, strategist focused. Okay. So they're going to want to be getting things done. They want to deliver, get results, make sure they're really great. They make sure they're aligned to the strategy. Not much game changer there. So there's not much new ideas, not much collaboration in team B. In team A, almost the reverse. Yeah, it's new ideas, perfecting them, innovation, working well together, less strategy, less implementation. So we're going to run a poll, just get your sense here. Which one of these transformation teams do you think is the most successful? You can run the poll. Yeah? Which one of these transformation teams is the most successful? Do you think it's team A? Do you think it's team B? Or do you think it's both? And the poll is open, so just wait for people to start voting. You let me know when we've got the results. We'll get a number in. When it comes to the GC index and these team profiles, often people just start to say what they see. It's a language that everyone understands. Have we got the results there? Have we got everyone in? I can't see the poll from here. So we've got a mix. Okay, so I don't know if we can share the results. Yeah, this is great. Great, absolutely great. Because, the reality is that both of these teams are really successful. They are really, really successful. And we've got a lovely split there. 38% feel it's team A, 38% feel it's team B, and 24% think it's both. This is great. This means we've got an audience that understands. Yeah. And that's a really big piece, because a lot of people go, oh, it's going to be team A because they've got game changers and they're going to be transforming, and it can't be team B because they've got no game. How do they do things differently? Or are they going to say, oh, it's going to be team B because they get things done and they get things done well and they execute? And you're right. Yeah. And this audience knows that. So team A, is really successful. They are a new initiative transformation team. What can we do differently in processes? They were set out to look at what new processes can we do around customer engagement. So they were out looking at that. Team B was a transformation for zero back office. Digital, how do we have a zero back office transformation? Yeah, we've got a strategy. We know what we're doing. Yeah, we just got to execute. Yeah. And so providing they were just reporting back up with metrics every month, that's it. They didn't really need any new crazy ideas because they had their plan. They just had to execute. So when you're looking at your teams, and that's where the GC index really helps you to do, is you get data about your team. How do they want to make an impact? And then how does that align to what we need? And that's basically what the GC index does. It gives you a language and a framework to help you align your team, your energy to your business objectives. Okay, and these are just some examples. We've given them some names, but there'll be, you're never going to know all of them because there's so many different varieties. But you start looking at different teams. What might they be good at? What might we be worried about? So I'm just looking at time, conscious time. I'm going to move on. So a number of you have taken the GC index, quite a lot of you actually have taken the GC index. And so we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with your data. Okay, so this is a cross section of the group. It's taken at random. So you've got 15, I think, on here out of, I don't know, I think it's probably about a half or a quarter of people have taken the GC index. But what you're seeing here is you've got a bunch of people coming to a game-changing transformation webinar, all interested in digital transformation and don't change, but they're different. They're all going to approach it in different ways. Now obviously we've got more game changers in this group, which we would expect probably. Yeah. Okay. We did one for the transportation sector last week, and they were mainly implementers. Again, you would expect that. All right. Okay. So that's what happens. But what you're looking at here is, let's just look at number 9. Yeah. Versus, look at number 9 versus number 4. Now they're going to approach work very differently. Okay. 4 is going to be about new ideas, new possibilities, not really going to get bothered about does it align or not, or go through the strategy process, because they'll just think it'll work. I can see it in my head. Big game changers see things in their heads and it'll work. They get frustrated that other people can't see it. And that's often where they need strategists to do that. Now, 9 is going to want to go, well, how does your idea fit into the plan? This doesn't fit into our 12-month roadmap, or doesn't fit with our business objectives, or I don't understand your idea, how it fits in. And, we just got to deliver stuff like we've always done. So, yeah. Now, if they were on your team, 4 and 9 with this data could have a wonderful relationship together, or they might just butt heads. And they'll never, and then that's what starts causing friction within your transformation. So you use this data to show this is how this person's going to want to contribute. This is how you complement them. Okay. And you'll see you're all different. There are 100,000 permutations of the GC index. So we're getting that individual, human individuality as well. Now, I thought it'd be a bit of fun to imagine you were a team. Okay, so let's just say you are all a transformation team now, all together, right? And we'll aggregate that data. You've seen it because I'm not very good with my keys. So but this is how, at an aggregate. Now, what we're doing here, there's a number of cuts of our data. All we're doing here is capturing every individual's high score. So you would have seen back here, lots of high game changers. Okay, so that's what's really making this a caricature. Now, you'd look at that data and go, wow, what a group, what a group of people. They're really about wanting new ideas and change the world of work. They're collaborative, they'll work together. The challenge is, will anyone understand them? Are they moving too fast for more traditional thinkers, more traditional players? Yeah, because what we see in big companies is that the culture of big companies tend to be what we call L-shaped. They tend to be, like you have seen that last team, they tend to be, in big companies, strategist, implementer, polisher focused. That's what tends to be the culture. And as Bax said, what we normally do is we go and create some new stuff. We give people a new office with beanbags and beards, because that's what and dress down in hoodies like me. And that's what we'll do, because we're all game changers. But then when we're trying to get that back into the business as usual, the L shape, yeah, really difficult. And we wonder why it doesn't happen. So the GC index helps with that. Okay, it helps us now, how do we do that? Is because we start looking at different ways of influencing. If I've got my boss or whoever who's going to sign off this particular transformation project or what has to do with it, and they're a big implementer, it doesn't mean that they necessarily don't like change or they hate what you do. They just want to see results. They want to see what's it going to bring us. And so you can start looking about how can you influence an implementer through stakeholder management? How do you influence a polisher? And so on. So you start to use a language that understands how you can drive your stakeholder management, because polishers and implementers will not go for change. Yeah. Implementers won't buy change as they can see the results. Polishers won't go with change unless they see how it's going to improve things. So you also have a very good communication exercise when you're all talking the same language. So just finally, here's do you remember the transformation team with the transformation team A? Well, this is 3 of their leaders, okay? And you can see why they've got that profile of game changer policy. 3 of their leaders, okay? And they're looking for a new individual because they've done so much, but they recognize that they're struggling with actually delivering on their objectives because they're all either over polishing or over thinking and looking at new ideas. And they're not really getting it aligned. Stakeholders aren't buying it in. They don't see how their new ideas fit in. They're taking them to the board, and every time it gets shut down, and they don't get the investment they need, and they don't get the buy-in they need. So they looked at 3 people. Okay, they said, right, we've got 3 people here we want to bring onto our team. We know that we're not implementing any of our stuff, or we're not hitting our deadlines. We know we're not communicating well. So they've got 3 individuals here they want to bring into the team from their company. You've got Simon. Now, Simon looks great. Yeah, Simon, he's got a big strategist. He's a big implementer. Yeah, but is he really going to get us? That 3 game changers. Is he really going to be open to new ideas? Is he really going to get what we're on about? Yeah, not sure. Maybe, maybe not. We'll ask him. Isabel, she looks great. Gosh, she's a game changer. Now, if we didn't have the GC index, they probably would have chosen Isabel. Yeah, because Isabel looks and feels like them. Come on, come in. We're excited. But it wouldn't necessarily help their business processes. They actually went with Amma in the end because Amma had enough game changer there. So she got 6. So it's not the most creative, but got enough to understand, but had that strategist implementer piece that would help the team really frame their ideas, prioritize them, give some of the tangible outputs that they can then start presenting to the board that will, and communicate that will start shifting that transformation on. Okay. And also Shan could work with Shan a lot more on the strategy because Shan was feeling a bit lonely actually as the only strategist on the team, you know, with these game changer policies. So that's very quickly how it works. All right. Okay. So you can start from the very high level, people, process, technology, making business decisions about people, because culture in our world is fundamentally how do companies make decisions? That's what frames the culture. Yeah. You know, how do we make decisions is really what drives the culture of a business. And so the GCINS gets to the heart of that at a global level, and you can see it happening right early on, right down to the team of 3 trying to recruit someone into that team, as well as mapping it across processes. So what do we normally do? This is kind of a phased approach, is that we start with any transformation. Of course, we're just a piece of data. Okay, so we are one piece of data, and we use the expertise of our partners, such as Devier and as Bax has mentioned. We always start with the leadership team. Always try and start a leadership team downwards. Run what we call a cultural insight, which is where we take swathes of the organization, getting this cultural data, the GC index. Start running a pilot through groups, so it might be a particular phase of the program, a particular initiative of the program, and then we build to a whole company rollout, so everyone in the company is talking the same language and they understand. Because if you're trying to drive a transformational culture in your business and people don't know how they can impact that transformation, you're never going to have a transformational culture. So we start with people understand how they can impact the transformation. Then we can move to a transformational mindset. Then we can move to a transformational culture. So, as Bax said, a bunch of you taking the GC index. Devier are very kindly offering to give each person that's taken the GC index, I believe, an hour or so of their time to talk through, so you understand your own profile. You'll get your profile report, and also talk about the context of where this data might be useful in your own transformation. If you want to find out about that, contact the Deviari team. But from me, for now, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Simon. Thank you, Nathan. Sorry, I'm speaking to Simon. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, Simon's a strategist implementer, so yeah, we're very different.
I know.
He does the grown-up stuff. I do the not so grown-up stuff.
Wow, this has been amazing. This has been great. I see lots of questions that have come up. We're now going to, we're 11:10. We'll now go